at this point, the organs, the various organs, the kidneys, the pancreas, the liver, they have been working throughout the year. So at this point, they are not actually struggling. They are put to rest. They are put to relax. That's why when we are breaking our fast, we encourage people to start it slowly. Don't just consume a lot of food at a go. And even our prophet recommend that we break the fast with dates and water, and then before we add any other thing else. So the system, actually, the way it is at that point, it has the time that it relaxes and it's able to regenerate itself. So we have toxins usually. So any food that you take, enters the blood, taken to the liver. The liver detoxifies the food, because whatever you eat, there is some substances that are not good for the body, but you don't know. The liver will separate it and then allow the good one to be circulated and distributed throughout the body. So during this period, as I mentioned, you get to use the excess glucose that is in your system, including the glycogen. And when that is done, once you enter the fasting state is 8 to 12 hours after your last meal, you have entered a fasting state. So the body uses up the excess glucose in the system, and then it reverts to fat storage for energy. So when that happens, you see that the fat is burned down, including the cholesterol that I'm talking about, used for energy. And these substances, chemicals that get into our system through food, through drink, through even air that we breathe, they hide in these fats. So when the fats are broken down, then even these chemicals are released. And what we, however, encourage is that we take in a lot of water or a lot of fruit to help flush out these toxins. So during this period, it's like overhauling. I mean, the system is revamping, regenerating itself. So there's no point that the system is overstretched. It is overstretched when it gets into starvation. The starvation is when the body uses up the glucose, uses up the fat storage, and now it reverts to your muscle. And that's why people grow lean and become very emaciated. Where there is, hunger. Exactly. So anything, as you're looking at me, my body is food for the body. So once it uses up the glucose, it uses up the fat, and you don't take in any food, then it will even use up the muscles that you have for energy, because it has to ensure that you survive. Exactly.
Okay. And Doc, then comes the issue of, before we get into specific issues, Muslims are to eat at dawn. And the Holy Prophet said, "Tasaharu fa inna fi sahuri baraka." Make it a point to wake up and take sahur, because there's some blessed in it. Is there anything unique with eating at dawn? Very odd hours.
Yes.
3:30 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m.
The eating at that point is one of the things that makes our way of fasting very unique. And it is one of the things that make our fasting a very safe one, because there is no point that you run out of energy and you need to resort to your muscles for energy, because you took something at dawn and you are taking something at dusk. The issue, however, is that we have people who are not able to eat at that point. That is true. There are people at that time they are not able to really eat anything. But what we tell them is that try several options. We have different kinds of food. Try and see which one, and identify the ones that work best for you, and then go for them. Like you said, there is blessing in it, and also gives you energy to start the day. Usually during the normal day, we will tell you not to skip your breakfast. So breakfast is very, very important. It is good for the day. So you need some energy as you prepare to work during the day, and then you need energy to even support the physiologic system of the body. So getting up at that time to eat is very important, and I'm not sure that the Prophet will have missed that.
Okay. Then there comes this issue. In Africa, we eat quite heavy. There are staples here. Some people wake up and prepare fufu and banku for their dawn meal. Would you recommend any kinds of meals that would have longevity in terms of the period of time such meals need to digest, so that people don't suffer? Are there any meals you can recommend that people, not the quantity or volume you take anyway, but because of the nutritional values of those meals, would you recommend any of those?
Yes. So yeah, that's something like you mentioned. Some people get up at dawn and their appetite is so high, they're able to pound food, all kind of food, eat so heavy. Some people also, think that because they're not going to eat lunch, so they have to make up during the dawn or sahur, so they tend to eat a lot. What we recommend is you go in for cereals and legumes like the rice, not the polished rice. We recommend that even the local rice, once you can process it so well, it is the best, or brown rice. Those are the best options. Then we have wheat, we have oats. These have fiber that fills the tummy, and the process at which it digests is a bit slow, so it releases energy slowly, so it's able to keep you throughout the day and make sure that you have sufficient energy to carry out your daily activities and whatever you need to go through the day. So we recommend that even bread and even some dairy like milk, even cheese, we can include it. What we recommend is that the meal should be balanced. Even it shouldn't be so different from your normal day meals. Don't restrict yourself to just tea and bread. Don't restrict yourself to only porridge. Make sure that your meals are balanced. You take, even if you're taking tea, the way we take tea is not that good. Some people just take raw tea and bread. That is not balanced enough. You have just carbohydrate and nothing else. If you can get some egg inside, that is fine. Even vegetables, tomatoes and onions, you can put it in the bread, make it a bit balanced, and enrich it with some vitamins and nutrients, and that is so good.
Doc, you know, people, the economy is quite hard.
Exactly.
And people don't have the luxury of the things you are mentioning. So what can they make do with?
So we have,
when it's tea, instead of getting a teacup, they would rather a jug. A mini bucket of tea and then bread, which you are saying is not too healthy. What other meals or ingredients are not too expensive on the market and good for the average income earner in Ghana and the rest of the third world?
Exactly. So for those who would like to do tea, a lot of people like tea at that time. They can even include granite paste. It has some protein, it has some fat, and then you have your carbohydrate. It makes it a bit more balanced than just having the bread and then the raw tea. And we have even oats and wheat. These are not so expensive and easy to prepare. So you get a little piece of your bread and you are good to go. Milk, I'm not sure milk is that expensive, or you can even buy the milk powder. Keep it in your room and then be using it small. Or you can get up and prepare rice. Just make sure that, like I said, you don't have to even go for carrot, cucumber, those ones. You can just have onions and tomatoes. Just make sure you slice them nicely onto the food and you'll enjoy it. Just try and make sure that there is some vegetables in it. And we recommend about 5 servings of vegetables a day. That's about 5 stewing ladle of vegetables when you measure, and then some fruit. And even at that point, it's not only food. We seem to restrict the intake of fruit to just the iftar time. We can even take some date or some other fruit that we have during the sahur, not only at the iftar. And then during the iftar also we can take some fruit.
And Doc, some people wake up at dawn and then gulp some water and go back to sleep. What is this queer and weird feeling you get when you eat heavy at dawn and then after Fajr you want to catch some sleep and you wake up and you feel so dull and inactive? What accounts for that medically?
The reason is that when you eat heavily, the way the body is, it prioritizes what it needs to do at any point in time. So when you eat heavily, the body knows that there is some more work to do around this region. Your stomach region. It has to convert the energy there to facilitate and to aid digestion. And when that happens, you see that the energy and blood flow to the brain, it's lowered, and you feel, you know, dull, and you feel like sleeping, and that is basically the reason. So it is good you take food in moderation. Don't be excessive. And this month is not a month of eating. We are not just fasting, but we have ibadah to do. So you have to eat moderately. That will keep you active so that you can perform the daily rituals and make sure that you harvest the best of reward from this man. And the Prophet ﷺ said in one of his traditions that the worst vessel that a human being can fill is the stomach. It is sufficient for one to have a few mouthfuls of food that will keep your spine straight. But if you fail it, you have to take note. 1/3 of the stomach is for food, 1/3 for water, and 1/3 for air. So there is no situation in Islam that you can even be excessive. The recommendation is that be moderate. That will give you energy, sufficient energy, and make you active to do whatever you have to do.
Ghana and the rest of sub-Saharan Africa are tropical zones. There is a lot of heat here. Would you recommend taking meat as one of the addendums to you know, sahur food, so that you would have the energy to go through the day? You can have a blacksmith, someone is a footballer, someone is a student, and they walk through the sun throughout the day. Would you recommend meat?
Thank you for the question. That's a very good and important question. We do realize that, or we acknowledge the fact that people do or have different levels of activities. What you need to do as far as that is concerned is to vary the quantity of your diet, but it's not for you to increase the meat, because like I said, when you are fasting, the body doesn't even use the protein as a source of energy. It uses the carbohydrate, that is the sugar, the glucose that you take in, and then to the fat. So what we recommend is that you increase a bit the portion size of your food, what you will have taken normally, because you know you are going to do high level of activity during the day. And like you said, because of the heat and all that, we recommend a lot of water, people to take in a lot of water during sahur and during iftar. When you, after taking your food, you need to take at least 2 glasses of water, or 3 if that is possible. For the aged, usually, you know, it is difficult for them to take in water, so you see them having this sobolo and this other way. They are all ways that will facilitate their water intake. So even if you have to do that, that is important. Just make sure that throughout the day, by the end of the even iftar, you have taken at least 8 glasses of water, or to simplify it, 8 pieces of 4 pieces of pure water, the sachet. 8 pieces of that should be okay. That even depends on your activity level. So if you're someone who is active, works under the sun, meaning you even require more. So normally for a person who doesn't do anything like sit under AC, you need about 8 glasses of water, or 4 sachets of pure water. But if you work under the sun, or you do heavy work, and you realize that you sweat a lot and you lose a lot of water or fluid, then you will have to even increase your fluid intake.
For want of a better word, middle class people or opulent people would have an easygoing routine on a day in the month of Ramadan. You would put on the AC in your car, put on the AC in your living room and your bedroom, and we are told that it causes dehydration. What would you recommend? Already there is scarcity of water in your body, because you are going to stay away from any form of nutrition, whether liquefied or coagulated, for hours on end. Would you recommend putting off the air conditioners?
No, really. I wouldn't recommend that. What I will say is, get to know that the air condition affects, your system. It makes you lose water, because the place is cold and you lose water because the body generates heat to maintain homeostasis, to maintain a balance, and in the process you lose some water. So you just have to also increase your water consumption or water intake. But we won't really say switch off your air conditioner. No, you can still have it.
But how much water can you take at dawn and be in your AC till iftar?
So it's not the water that you take at dawn that should keep you throughout the day. The water that if you even take at I mean during sahur and even at iftar should both be able to. And for those who stay long during the night, you can even take water. You can make it a point to take a lot of water till you go to bed. So I say when you break your fast with date, you have some water. Go pray, come Maghrib. After Maghrib, take some water. Then you can have something. Go for Isha, take some water. After Isha, take some water. So if you are staying a bit late, take water before you go to bed. So just make sure that, just make it, I mean, some conscious effort to rehydrate the system, to take in a lot of water, to replenish the water that you lose during the day.
Okay, Doc, you mentioned that there are some ailments that prevent people from fasting, chronic ones, but we'll go into those.
Okay.
But are there other forms of disabilities like leprosy and blindness, or do they affect the fasting person, people with disabilities?
Not really. People with disabilities don't, I mean, their disability doesn't really affect their fasting, especially people who have lost their sight, people who have lost a limb or something like that. It doesn't really affect their fast. Maybe for those who are blind and cannot see, if they don't have people to support them during sahur and during iftar, their case is exceptional. But generally, people with disability can even fast. The fasting becomes an issue if your condition has to do with your metabolic system, has to do with the way you metabolize food, and it will result in A or B. So that is when you might be exempted from fasting. But if it is just disability, you have lost your limb, you have lost your sight, you can't talk, that those, they are not exempted.
We're in the studio, ladies and gentlemen, with a dietitian, registered dietitian, Idris Abdullah, and today we are discussing the health benefits of Ramadan. You may join the conversation now by calling the phone line that is boldly displayed on your set. It will pop up shortly. If you have any questions or concerns, you can call and I guess to address them. Ulcer, people have been mentioning ulcer all the time.
Yes.
Ulcer, asthma. Are these the cardinal, chronic ailments that excuse people from fasting in the month of Ramadan, or there are others we don't know about?
Okay, so we have others, like we mentioned. We have ulcer, we have asthma, we have diabetes, we even have hypertension. In some situations they are exempted from fasting, but in all this, their situation has to be looked at individually. I mean, you don't generalize. Some of them can fast, others cannot. For instance, like I mentioned, for diabetics, those who are type 2 diabetics, due to their diabetes, due to lifestyle, they are able to produce some level of insulin, but they are not able to use the sugar. They are recommended to fast. However, they have to do it in consultation with their doctors or dietitians. Their medications need to be reviewed. We have long-acting and short-acting. So once they talk to the dietitian, they have to plan ahead. Let the dietitian or your doctor know that the month of Ramadan is approaching and I want to fast. What can you do to help me fast? However, when they do fast, they have to be monitored. And we have a situation or condition that we call hypo. The diabetes means that the sugar level is high, but when you go into hypo, the sugar level drops so low, and that is even dangerous than when it is high, because that can even take you into coma. That's very dangerous. And if no one realizes and is aware of your situation...
Doc, kindly hold on a sec. The number to call us on is 0302 904 768 0302 904 768, and I'm sure you can see it boldly written on your set, and the WhatsApp line is also on the screen, but we will take calls today, so you can call onto the show. Okay, Doc.
Yes. And for ulcer also, some of them can fast, others cannot fast. Again, you have to consult your doctor, and then for you to plan ahead of the month of Ramadan if you can fast or not. That is very, very, very important, because research has shown that people who have ulcer and are able to fast, they get some form of improvement in the way they manage their condition.
The TV is not,
so
service
that is very important. Ulcer patients can fast, but it has to be done in consultation with their doctors. Now we have people of senility, people who are so weak, the aged people. For them, they are also exempted from fasting, because sometimes they don't even remember when they have eaten, when the last time they have eaten, or they don't remember to eat or not to eat. So for them, they can also be exempted from fasting. Yes. So even people who are hypertensive, hypertension, fasting also helps the control of our blood pressure. So people who are hypertensive and are able to fast, we recommend that they fast. However, it has to be done in consultation with their doctor so that it can be monitored. Once they need help, then they get it. But I have to emphasize that in all these situations, when you realize any of the serious symptoms that can give you problem, you quickly have to break your fast, because that becomes an emergency. So if you are diabetic and you begin to see the symptoms of hypo, meaning the blood sugar has gone down, you begin to sweat, you don't understand your surroundings and all that, you become so confused, then you quickly need to get some sugar and break your fast. So that is important for people to know. So yes, there are people who are exempted from fast, and even people who are expecting babies, who are pregnant, and especially those who are in their second trimester to third trimester, they are also, if they realize that they cannot fast, or they realize that it will affect their baby, then they are also exempted from fasting. But if they can fast, but they have to do it in consultation with a medical doctor. That is very, very important and very, very key. And even those who are lactating, people who are breastfeeding, they can also fast or be exempted from fasting.
Okay.
It depends on them.
At this juncture, I would call for a quick commercial break. When we come back, we continue the discussion. Stick and stay with us. Okay. You're welcome back, and we are beginning to wrap up this all-important conversation with our dear brother Idris and Kasim Abdallah, who is a registered dietitian. Yeah, Sheikh, you're doing a great job.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so many things I didn't know about, you know, dieting and fasting.
Yes.
And I believe our viewers out there are also benefiting tremendously from your explanation. Are there other areas you would want to tackle before we call it a wrap?
Exactly. There is one thing
and take some time to talk about
Thank you very much. I also want to add that during this time, a lot of people do a lot of these caffeinated drinks. They take soft drinks that contain some caffeine, or other drinks that are high in caffeine, or some of them, the kinds of tea that they take is high in caffeine. Caffeine is diuretic. It has diuretic effect on us. That means that it makes you lose a lot of water through urine. So when you take in this, you need to reserve some fluid in you. So if you take caffeine that will make you to lose water or fluid, that exacerbates your issue. So we say that even if you want to take tea, if you want to take any drink, you have to go for the decaffeinated drinks. Okay. And at least make sure that don't miss your sahur and don't miss your iftar. These two meals are very, very important and are key. And let's try to make it as balanced as possible. We have to reduce or cut down the fats. You see, some people, when you see their meals so greasy, so oily, it's not so healthy for us at this point. Let's also cut down the sugary. You see someone during iftar, there are several different kinds of drinks, and they are all sugary drinks. They are not helpful. They are the kinds of dietary habits that will make you gain weight instead of losing weight in this blessed month. So this month is a great opportunity for people who have been struggling to lose weight, people who are overweight, people who are obese to lose weight. This is a great opportunity for them to lose weight. So I'll tell them to take full advantage of this month, inshallah, not to harvest only the spiritual blessing in this month, but also the health benefits in this month.
Mashallah.
And to talk about IMAG, IMAG is Islamic Medical Association of Ghana. It is born out of necessity as part of a global group, that is FEMA, Federation of Islamic Medical Associations. Okay. So every country has this association and is a member with FEMA. So, and IMAG is registered with the Registrar General Department of Ghana. And we have been embarking a lot of outreach programs, talks like this, screenings, and a whole lot. And inshallah, we are going to launch IMAG next month, 23rd of June, inshallah, at the British Council. And I use this opportunity to invite you to be there. We would like to see you there. And inshallah, the National Chief Imam himself will be there because he is our chief patron. Wow. And he's going to be there. And wow. We invite everybody, inshallah, to be there.
Wow.
Yes.
All too soon, viewers, we've come yet again to the end of another edition of Ramadan Caravan. And we're privileged to have had in the studio Karim Abdullah, Kasim Abdullah, a registered dietitian and a member of Islamic Medical Association of Ghana. Thank you so much, brother.
It's a pleasure. I'm grateful to be here.
Thank
also.
You so much. Okay. So we come your way tomorrow with another edition of Ramadan Caravan. Stay blessed. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.